Hello and welcome. You're watching Today in Parliament with me, Ashwarya, and here are the Parliament headlines. Rajya Sabha to discuss a recent law and order situation in some parts of Delhi today. Discussion on the working of 4 ministries also listed. Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Amendment Bill 2020 and Mineral Laws Amendment Bill 2020 listed for consideration and passing in Rajya Sabha. Upper House to also take up National Commission for Indian System of Medicine Bill and National Commission for Homeopathy Bill. And Major Port Authorities Bill 2020 to be introduced in Lok Sabha. Lower House to also discuss Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020, discussion and voting on demands for grants for 4 ministries for 2020-2021 also listed. A look first at the legislative business in the Upper House today. The Rajya Sabha will discuss the recent law and order situation in some parts of Delhi today. A short duration discussion in this regard will be raised by MPs Kapil Sibal, Rajnani Patel, Digvijay Singh, Vivek Tankha, Sudhanshu Trivedi, Vijay Goel and Vinay Sahasrabudhe. And in some other legislative business, the House will take up the National Commission for Indian System of Medicine Bill 2019 listed for consideration and passing. The bill aims to provide for a medical education system that improves access to quality and affordable medical education and promotes equitable and universal health care that makes medical services accessible to all citizens. Union Minister Shripad Yeso Naik will move the National Commission for Homeopathy Bill 2019 aimed to ensure the availability of adequate and high-quality homeopathy medical professionals in our country. The bill will be moved for consideration and passing. The House will also take up the Central Sanskrit Universities Bill 2019 for consideration and passing. The bill is intended to convert 3 deemed to be Sanskrit universities into Central Sanskrit Universities. Minister Prahlad Joshi will move the Mineral Laws Amendment Bill 2020 for consideration and passing, which is aimed to amend the Coal Mines Special Provisions Act 2015 as passed by the Lok Sabha. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Amendment Bill 2020 is also listed for consideration and passing. The bill will be moved by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and aims to amend the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 as passed by Lok Sabha. Nirmala Sitharaman will also move the Direct Tax Vivad Se Vishwas Bill 2020 in the House for consideration and return. And the House is also slated to take up discussion on the working of several ministries. The working of Ministry of Railways will be moved by TMC MP Derek O'Brien. Discussion on the working of the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises to be moved by DMK MP Tiruchi Siva. Discussion on the working of the Ministry of Law and Justice to be raised by BJP MP Bhupendra Yadav, and the discussion on the working of the Ministries of Rural Development and Agriculture and Farmers Welfare to be moved by Congress MP Pratap Singh Bajwa. And in the Lok Sabha today, the Major Port Authorities Bill 2020 is listed for introduction by Union Minister Mansukh Lal Mandavia. The bill aims to provide for regulation, operation and planning of major ports in our country and to vest the administration, control and management of such ports upon the boards of major port authorities. Also listed for consideration and passing is the Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020 to amend the Aircraft Act 1934. This bill will be moved by Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri. Also discussion and voting on demands for grants of 4 ministries for 2020-2021 is listed in today's business. These include the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, and the Ministry of Railways. All right, Kriti Mishra is joining us live from Parliament. Kriti, talking about Rajya Sabha first, there's going to be this discussion on the law and order situation in Delhi today in the Rajya Sabha. There is also going to be discussion on 4 ministries working, and as far as bills are concerned, we have a very important bill, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Bill and Mineral Laws Amendment Bill. There are 3 other bills that have already been hanging fire, including the National Commission for Indian System of Medicine Bill, the National Commission for Homeopathy Bill. So huge legislative agenda in the Rajya Sabha today.
Well, absolutely, Aishwarya. And yesterday we saw the discussion on the issue of recent law and order situation in some parts of Delhi in the Lok Sabha, wherein Home Minister Amit Shah made a very important statement saying that none of the perpetrators, irrespective of caste, religion or political affiliation, would be spared. So today there's a very important discussion in the Rajya Sabha on the same subject, which would be under the short duration discussion, and thereafter Home Minister Amit Shah would reply to this discussion. And of course, there was concurrence yesterday. We saw that among all political parties, the two important bills that would replace the ordinance promulgated by the government, including the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Second Amendment Bill and also the Mineral Laws Amendment Bill, would be taken up in the first half. So these are the two important bills replacing the ordinance that would be discussed, and thereafter there would be discussion on the issue of recent law and order situation. Remember, the government had said that it was willing for the discussion post-Holi. The opposition had been demanding discussion since a very long time. And in fact, Chairman had also given a message to all political parties to ensure that there is peace and normalcy in the national capital, and all sides must strive and endeavor to ensure that such incidents do not occur in future and preventive measures are taken. And also other legislative agenda. There are important bills, for instance, the Central Sanskrit Universities Bill and also the National Commission for Indian System of Medicine and National Commission for Homeopathy Bill 2019. And very importantly, discussions on several ministries that is also slated to be taken up in the upper house, including on the Ministry of, we've seen that several ministries, including the Rural Development Ministry, the Agriculture Ministry, that would be discussed, and also the Railways Ministry, the MSME ministries. So a very heavy legislative agenda as far as the upper house is concerned, after several disruptions that we've seen over the last week. Aishwarya?
Absolutely. And Kriti, talking about Lok Sabha, we can see a number of bills are listed in the lower house as well. If you can just tell us more about this major port authorities bill, because this bill is going to be introduced in the lower house today. And apart from, of course, the discussion and voting on demands for grants for 4 ministries, tell us more about this particular bill.
Well, Aishwarya, talking about the Lok Sabha, there's an important bill, as you've mentioned, the major port authorities bill that would be introduced in the Lok Sabha today by Shipping Minister Mansukh Lal Mandavia. Remember, the government has been talking about port-led development and adding to the GDP of the country. Now, this particular bill aims to provide more flexibility and autonomy in the administration of ports and seeks to repeal the Major Ports Act Trust that was of 1963 to provide novel avenues for development in the port sector. And also you've mentioned that there would be discussion on demands for grants of various ministries, and also another important bill, which is the Aircraft Amendment Bill to enhance the safety and security in India's civil aviation space. That is also listed to be taken up in the lower house today. Aishwarya?
Kriti, thank you so much for all those updates there. And in some other legislative business, the following ministers will lay papers on the table pertaining to their ministries in the Rajya Sabha. Smriti Irani for the Ministry of Textiles. Dhotri Sanjay Shamrao for the Ministry of Human Resource Development. Jitendra Singh for the Department of Atomic Energy. And department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee reports on transport, tourism and culture, coal and steel, energy and finance will be presented in the upper house today. Another report on the committee on papers laid on the table on laying of annual reports and audited accounts of Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan and National Council for Teacher Education will also be presented. And Union Minister Rameshwar Teli will lay on the table a statement correcting the annexure to the answer to the unstarred question 2172 that was given in the Rajya Sabha on 6th of December last year regarding investment in FDIs. The House will also pay obituary references to former members Dr. Ranbir Singh and Hansraj Bhardwaj. And following ministers will lay papers on the table in the Lok Sabha. Kiran Rijiju for the Ministry of Minority Affairs. Hardeep Singh Puri for the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Ratan Lal Kataria for the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Pratap Chandra Sarangi for the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. And department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee reports on energy, finance, coal and steel, transport, tourism and culture will be presented in the lower house today. Also, Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri will make a statement regarding seeking exemption from framing of two rules under AERA Act 2008, namely AERA performance standards relating to quality, continuity and reliability of service for major airports, rules and Airports Economic Regulatory Authority Appellate Tribunal Group A and B ports, recruitment rules. And reports of a committee on government assurances and subordinate legislation will also be presented in the House today. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Today in Parliament. Do stay tuned. The proceedings of the Upper House are going to commence in a short while from now at 11 a.m. Thanks so much for your time.